当节制当作节，将就不多大年家中节，大概这些节别说那么节，罗拉本节三节，罗瓦尔修三节，制当作节就那。将就不多大年家中节，大概这些节别说那么节。罗拉本节三节，罗瓦尔修。三业，这当作业成难来，讲究不多大年要送节，大业这些节表算那么节，到拉分节的三节，如把那修，人间当节在我当地为有。人把那就节，人间当节东啊东啊节就当着我。人间当节东啊了没别的话那没着我的就节，人间当节你的家当你当着的当有个那个有了节，人间当节的话那的就当的不就节，人间当节东啊东啊节就当着我就节，人间当节东啊了没别的话那没着我的就节，人间当节你的家当你当着的当有了那个的就了节，人间当节的我当的别就当的不就节，人间当节东啊东啊节就当着我的就节，人间当节东啊了没别的话当没着我的就。人间当节你连家当你当着别当牛老年不着就着急，早节别业就节没多这么的，着把连接你的肩膀的，三界心都没得不爱。如果南大仙老去把这修，一大忙不着这那面着，你呀大呀咪。Until enlightenment, I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the accumulation of the practices of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Until enlightenment, I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the accumulation of the practices of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Until enlightenment, I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma. By the accumulation of the practices of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from unwise attachment and anger. May all sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment. Sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separate from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from spread with incense, adorned with strewn flowers, Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon, I imagine as a Buddha land, and by offering it to you, may all living beings enjoy this pure land. Thus, meeting the teacher of the peerless teacher is due to the spiritual mentor's kindness. I dedicate this virtue for all living beings to be cared for by excellent spiritual friends. Edam Guru Ramandala Kamniya Taya. Okay, good morning to all. And the Tringi Joji Lendes at the Nampe Sarubi Nalola, Led and Divi Namja, Lay Yundes at Yore, Digi Namja, the Tatu Jeremato, Napa Sanjive, the Karzorata, Chi Napa Sanjeva Lamato Mating in G, and Digi Namja, the Kelen Gobaina, Kelen Baina, in Jimmy Namba Sanjeva Yingoji, the Chago Mare. Imba Yinaya, Namba Sanjeva Yina, the Lay Yundegi Namja Zende. 하고고지 시고지 어떤 데라 제 대도기 남자 가랑지 제 대도기 남자 강당 강조 대담제 고 유견질 때는 중국 여바데 지당게 뭐 준이래 되어래 임바인자 가랑지 가자 소속이다 리조르기 찬낸다나 임바인다도 삼소르기 군이 찬이 임바인다도 갈다르 대도기 남자 간디지 니마지게 날라 가서지 간디 맞자 간디 연구 여반에 대담제고 뭐지기 유제 유현질라 때는 중국어를 된대기 유델라다 레즈는 민답 타냐다 샤바지레 제사 고 유현라 때는 중국 여바데 고 남바선 여바 인고 여마레 남바선 여바 출로 간디질라 땡겐지 이마이나다 춘도 케밀랭겐지 이마이나다 돈도 삼젠지 이마이나다
대도 강이 바데 그 레지라 때는 중국에 바데 지단기 그 중이래데 대 원진 만진당 켈레 말렌자데 콜타두기 남자 차고요레스
So for today's topic for this session, we have cause and karma. What did you know? Karma. Tibetan literal translation would be action and result, cause and effect, and cause and effect in general is a concept, is a view or philosophy. Believing in cause and effect doesn't make you Buddhist. It has nothing to do with the Buddhist, and it's something kind of common concept or philosophy or view. And whatever feelings that we experience, sensation, whether it is joy, whether it is suffering, it depends on its own respective causes, factors, and conditions, and that is nature, that is reality. It's something very kind of common thing, and so likewise, to us as a human, whatever we experience in our daily life, all those experiences comes from its preceding causes, factors, and conditions. And that preceding causes is what is called, karma or action specifically. And as said earlier, in believing karma doesn't make you a Buddhist. And it is something that is the reality, of livelihood in people's human, as people who believes in Buddhism, who doesn't, and even in animals realm, suffering, whatever sensation must be preceded by its causes. So it's considered as generally something that is really kind of natural law, and now.
이마선자 다 Sanskrit nalola tanda karam zayade chabare, karam zayade pyoge la gyuriyundula, ta pyoge tanyanala, ta le zayade chabare. Ta korangi ngo zayna mido chawa dabu kari chigo re zabayna, ta kalo ta ngazu lunga ki namgyur chilo la tembar chebe, ta nambar ichi te tsola jilan sigo res. 다 샘니 가리 상게 해봐네 샘니 삼바데 가서 치료랑원 두고 말이 리 두고 말이 때 리버 체킹 기 쫄라지 다는 리기고네 저 리당하게 저 제바데서 그가 때 리당하게 저 제야데서 치료라 넘버 고 살로 체킹 기 에네 딘데기 쫄라지라 레즈즈 오레스 다때 ngar sangi chomde ne jal judu wala ta chi kharz horta maji tadi ho delange yugo samson ta kon lendi ki namja sangi ki thoma sungdan ji horwa
Also
tini jubena tozo kharzan del jo kharzachi tozo de me to samson kantar sangi ke thoma sungde yala rangi rangin go ingis ane 다 도미다 망부카 망부나라 두스마 송요레 상기기 노카세나라 랑이 랑긴 고인기 제니 수준 권동 규르제지 데네 송도 요레 양도 레갸바이나 가린지 레갸바이 도데 레갸바제지 요레 되게 나라 랑이 랑기 고인기 랑이 랑기 방부인스 어다 레다 녜바차바 카르사 랑이 랑긴 고인기 Rani rangin daya in sod. Rani rangin gonare, Rani rangin daya res. Ota leda nyeba chebaya la Rani rangi pambu ins. Leni ki sosu ki ta gidi ki chawa kari re chiga bena degi pambu zana sosu res. Ota tela ro chegengi gonda hyab zebay na sosu Rani res. Ota tela yani chi da khate chagengi Daozena Sosores, Kandar, Chawa Kadita Chebayena, Didu Candida Jungovan, Tigi, Gen Chazam, Sosala Yoremado, Chige, Kansa Gengilet, Tengio Marese, Kachet Shigore.
Yes.
Imbasonza, the Dinichua.
This word, karma in English is karma is a English kind of pronunciation. The actual Sanskrit word is karam. When you write in English, then it becomes karma. And Tibetan, it's the word le, which means action. So karam, action. When we say, kind of anglicized English, karma, it refers to effort that expresses, that expresses the action itself. So, meaning, when we have a thought in our mind, the thought itself cannot be seen, by others. And that thought, when it is expressed through physical, verbal behavior, that expression that comes out of the mind is what is karma. It's what's karma. And so, something that manifests, in the form of action. So going back to the, this karmic concept in Buddhism, during Buddha's time, Buddha has mentioned this in many scriptures, sutras, and in many different kind of ways. And in one of the sutra, Buddha said that, probably Geshe is saying that it's a 100 action scripture sutra, which I will post this on the Facebook later. One is the protector of oneself. One also is the enemy of oneself. One is the witness of oneself too. If one's positive and negative, if of one's positive and negative actions. So in here, what Buddha is saying is that one is the protector of oneself, protector, master, or guardian, as well as the one is the enemy of oneself, and also the witness of oneself. So the meaning here in brief is Buddha is saying that whatever activities that you do, all responsibility is, up to yourself only. It doesn't depend upon something outside of yourself or some outsiders or external things.
Imbasonza, ta Anangaranzo Mize, Kansa Soso, Aranzo Soso, Mizeganala, Sumlatangbayana, they do Kadiji, Toa Kandiji, Cabre, David Soa Yungu, Cabre Dongaji Soa Yungu, Cabre, they do Kaya Maimbe, Cham, Tanyum Zigorita, Chaminyambe, Dindige, Tachi, some getting you Kaya Meva Namet of Dindige, Soala Sobe, Tachi Hidun, the number Mambuji music in Ala Mambuji Yungu. Tesukanga Kansar Kareletani Juari, Sabaina could lay the lady Naminde, Lake in Dibudes, Legilatani Jungores. Temato, Tanzambulin Nala, Chi Marazu Michi Bunala Chajavana, Milachi, Ta Yewa Halevita, me in Bayinaya, ko Ulchugi Jabar, Chijungi Jabar. 토맹이 왕 지중기 개발 다나진지 제 알아서 주부 연락 창대 예반나 연락라지 지중당 봉다단 다지 준 제도단 딘디기다 이와미다 망부지 용거 내가 저건가 스위치 버려 아주 판매기 돼 버려야 양면나 가사 현지기 가서데 아주 주기 입단 대조건가 존에 현지 여러에 치료는 지 파마라 소베기다 지 제바부 현지 여러에 디바는 아주 가리 삼단기래서. 그러 간타 남비 중네 중네 zanan다도 렌디기 남자 하고니 지 하고년지 임바이나 하고바이나 대소강가 치로 젠지를 라마덴바 소소라니기 지 you can sabalateni taking dibu means of a jimbate how could do it sobaji to this Yamato Mazolaji Magawa Sajidan Chi Tamishibaji Tamishiba Deniji Juba Kadula Tegi Nyangal the Kyanja Davodi Pajo Sosa Magawas Mijilan died the Lela Shibujing to Tacho Yoris Malaji Jungsonate Pajo Kuki Candies Pena Soso than Dakati Union Miji than Yamdo Mosu Chi Sonja Shuri Jiba Imba Inaya Pajo Sonja Shuba de Negi Mare and Pajo Shunyan Sonja Shunyan Jibola Kyontai the Homshi the name of the day she got in as ranging it yours Imba Inaya or Lendi in Namjas and the Hagonati Kyon de Pajo Jibola Meba Soso Gitendo Yuji Sadi Yabati take Savaji to this.
In our lifetime, whatever experience that that we have, whether it is of happiness, suffering, or neutral, experience, sensations, all of this, where does this comes from, that we experience in our day-to-day life? And all of this must have, have its own kind of respective causes. And therefore, there's a result that we experience in this lifetime. And if you look at kind of human species alone, we can see extremely kind of, diverse in terms of, wealthy and poverty, in terms of power, in terms of, physical appearance of each and every human being, and parts of different parts of, our body, and who kind of makes this in this specific form of each and every human being. Are you going to kind of sort of say, because of my parents or some kind of external forces or power? And somebody who has some kind of knowledge of cause and effect, concept, or maybe like in a Buddhist perspective, one kind of understands that these are the results of one's own kind of causes. The causes or factors is within oneself rather than pointing to outsiders. And otherwise, in generally, whenever there is a difficulty, problem, bad things happens to us, we tend to blame to others, point fingers to others. And even, in a kind of physical fight with others using kind of weapons, and when you are inflicted, by that weapons, obviously, you pointed to that person who is kind of, inflicting harm. And so we are kind of, our sort of mindset is so used to this kind of, this kind of pointing fingers at others, the always kind of, others blaming others. But if one has some knowledge about cause and effect karma, then you can have some kind of, understanding that it is not always, some kind of external thing that is making you feel how you're feeling now.
Imbasonza ta dindigi ta legi namja shea tela tiring Tenzin masona Tenzin sumgi zoda bi chini to ma jugi is e karre zabayina tambo le korangi mo sanamido les ki ranjin zawati candidate buchires ro ene ko le sodul leji chebayina te le digi le sa zade le sodul kandise sagu re te ji ches ene tal Tendegi le de la ta yewa ji namda minda mangpu ta jung so so ni minda mangpu ji yore o dezo ge ko le ji youtube na te ji ju yin s tama de la.
So for about cause and effect, Geshe would like to present in three kind of sections. The first one, what is the nature, what is the identity of karma, and the second, secondly, about how we accumulate karmic action, the ways of accumulations of karmic actions, and third, depending on different sources, there are many different types and forms or classifications of karma.
Imaiza ta le za de tange lunga ge kun long che gi ta zoa za de ko ngo za na sa wi ge le za de ngo za na do do zo do ji ta ko le la bo ji ba na ko jawa ji la kan tar le ze za de jawa ji la ko re se ta tende ge jawa de la sembe le da sambe le ze ne ko jizul kare yo re za na nga ju go sum ye ko ne tende ge jawa de che de che de la 맞아 그 류가 이 숨배 돈에 지거래스 지야데 데 된데게 레달라다 셈벨레다 삼벨레제네 이지 이기고니다 제바델라 셈벨레즈고래 류다 나기고니 지야델라 자와델라 삼벨레즈고 셈벨레다 삼벨레즈니 안도스 자고래스 다 고모즈르 마소나 칸타르 레지 사나 재미도 레지 인사리 주고들라 가르도다 차 상화서 그랬다 친이 상화 레 친이 상화지 인사리 주고들라 되긴 디부 마이미 봐다 라드야 자원이네 요 말이스 간지 간다 센딜레 민바이나레 세제마질레 민바이나레 왔다 세동다 망부기 제니 민바이나다 간다 세 레티 마이미 발라 그니다 상기제데 요 말이스 ne tonta de le migyo ji da le geve le imba yanara migyo le imba yanara kantar khogi ngo da sabi gi yawa che shabe na geve le da migyo le ni su chigi res ta yang khashela geve le migyo le kanan deme le ne chego re kanan deme ne gwa da migyo nyam don den do ka cha de chego ma res in bai na gwa mai ge migyo mai ge ne tanyong gi le ji oro o dende gi le dende de la 다 간난 데메 레즈니 타니 잡아마도 양 개와도 미가 냠도 데인도에 가자디 말레스 강타 데이나 데나니 조다 조조데 게미긴 니숭이 되요레스
When we say karma or karma or karmic action, as said earlier, it refers to the effort with the motivation then expressed in physical and verbal kind of behavior or form. In one word, we can say that when we say karma or karma, it refers to action. It's action, and then that karma can be categorized into many forms, and one would be so there are different translations for this. So one is translated as a karma of consciousness and karma of thoughts. One translation, but there's a different translation in your book. So when we say karma of consciousness of mind, it refers to the karmic action of the mind itself. And the other translation, which maybe might not fit in this definition, karma of thought, refers to karmic action created through physical and verbal action. And so whatever karmic activities that we kind of express or manifest it either comes through any of these three channels, whether it can be mental, physical, or verbal. And another big category would be virtuous or non-virtuous, and then there is literal would be kind of mixed karma,
But it doesn't mean, however, there's a mixing of white and black, or virtuous or non-virtuous, or unwholesome or non-wholesome. Rather, it refers to karmic action, which by nature is more kind of neutral. There is no positivity as well as there is no negativity in the karmic action. And so one way of categorization is kind of into two group: wholesome, unwholesome, negative or positive. And one feature here is, general feature is, whatever karmic action that you have created in its complete form, that karmic action then will never sort of disappear. It can last, the yielding of result could last to thousands of years, but however it will remain as long as it comes into fruition.
임바송자 다 된대게 레 다 증이 상와지 셀렌지 인송바이나 거기 리부 멤베바 탑요 말은 리부 공에버도 민구요레스 민바이나 민다 데라 가레잖아 민비 윰젠데 가르조다 민고아데 가레잖아 된대게 레지 임바이나 가리고레잖아 ko dibu mimbang ngeba res doa dibu mimbang ngeba le ngeba lore le ngebas ene le phel chewas ta le chungjung ji che bai na tegin dibu bi dela ji hajang gi ji hanjombo janamido chembo janamido dendege da le chungjung ji dibu chembo ji di che do yo res ko 거기 제일 때만 다 개주도 마서나 레드기 개주도 마서나 레 종종적인 리부 전부 시고지 대체 두고요. 두고래 되게 리부 펼쳐와래스 레. 이 다나진 레데 제자리주 레 마제 소로기 레지 제메바이나 데 되긴 리부 니레스네 리부 젬바지 미야요 말에 레 마제바도 밑에 발고 그래서 레 마제바도 밑에 발지 레지 마 소소기 레지 마사바이나 되긴 리부 니레스네 리부 조도 미야요 말에 레 마제바도 밑에 봐 제바 취미죠 와서 레지 사바이나 때 사빈 디부드 민바마도 마도데 균이 아주 취미죠 와서 취게 캐르도하다 지금 매버서샤 탑젠 개구지 요 말에서 다 님부 소블된 탑지 요버데 가래잖아 미게 레다 부지 임바이나 미게 레서부들라 님부 소블된 지기 님부 소블지 타이베고니 샤돔드니 제바이나 되게 네데 레데게 뉴바메바 레드 매바 조투고 돼서
features or the qualities of the karmic action, as said earlier, if you created, say, a valid or standard karmic action, then that karmic action must produce result. And the production of the result is certain, it's definite, And the another kind of feature of karmic action is even a small karmic action can produce immense, large, extensive result. And as said earlier, if you didn't create the karmic cause, you don't experience the karmic result. So karmic action that is not created won't yield karmic result. So whatever karmic action that you created will never get wasted, but however here, when related with the non-virtuous or destructive or unwholesome karmic action, if created, then can be sort of eliminated by using 4 powerful antidotes, the practice of confession and purifications.
sonza ta leze de ko keje denji jidang dembaji chagyo di jiga ene kola changyo res ta le nge bapen nge basagu de imbaina le gewaji chebane te ndibu dewaji nyoyata le migewaji chebane te ndibu rungalji nyongu yobate koge ngores bena chige yundela chiroye yundel tabula chajabena ngazoge ring yagbujila tendo kari tabena de kiore oda suben tabena suben kiore cerma tabena cerma kigir mato oda de tamne tokiada oda cerma tane de kiala sobi dindige ta yundi cholo degora yundi cholo dindi yongya miduas de meba najingi nangi yundi azuge nangi ta lunga ge le tuzala imbayina ya le gewaji 제바이나 대인지부 대화 연구여봐 레 미개와지 제바이나 대인지부 동al 연구여봐 어디 지가지가래서
So what was said earlier was kind of four features, we can say four features of the karmic karma. The first one in one word is certainty. There's a certainty in karmic action. For example, if you create a positive karmic action, it is certain that result, must be goodness. And if you create negative action, result must be, suffering or, a problem. And in terms of external cause and effect, if you use an example of external cause and effect in terms of this certainty, in a fertile farm, if you plant the seed of the rice, it is definite that the rice will, it will produce rice. If you plant likewise pepper, it will only produce pepper. And if you plant wheat, it will, the result will be wheat. There's no way as if you plant a rice and then you will have a barley. For cause and effect, there is no such kind of fallacies kind of possible. And so same can apply what we call internal cause and effect. That means, physical behavior, verbal behavior. When physical, verbally, if we create positive karma, the result must be goodness. And if create negative or non-virtuous or unwholesome, karma, result must be, suffering or problematic.
Imbasonza le gewe dibula dibu dewachi le migewe dibula dibu rungal nyongu yobate ko ngebares te ngebege yumsen karres ta yumsen karres zabena ndumji toni ka jugos kezola ngama ta lotong da mong gong lei imbare do gelong nyamba zanlen zeji yore se bare gelong nyamba zanlen zende kandi ji yore se baina ta khorang gelong nyamba zanlen zade danda ge da sangi chomden di jaljubi tuje dilare sangi chomden di jaljubi tuje la gelong sangi chomden de ki khor du zene midu te jinjuk na la rabjungji gelong nyamba zanlen min la gelong nyamba zanlen ze min chi ye de ne ta yeba indu ala tendi ge gelong nyamba zanlen ze kandi chi yore ze de la tanda zandor mu je kalob je na di sungdo gelong nyamba zanlen ze de ngazo mi ji ta khala maji kon la mi de thomba ina 니마들 기는 칼라자니 두고 말했어. 다 칼라 제산에 같이 미리 통바이나. 저거 나로 예배 칼라데 탐제 바치로라. 동고지게 됐어. 칼라 차상 동바 저거 두고 됐어. 간달 미데 너 멤버라 주 민제발라 다지 하장기 다지 효보 나조게 가르서 거다 미두베 참마 쪽에 제지 요래 때 차장지 코랑라 창대 요래 된데게 딱 미지라 다지 주부 중중 세부지 노응엠보 다지 갈라가 지 통사 통야 지 조지데 타부이나 조지데 몸부 이등에서다고 다지 강달 차 담전이 주부게 차 담전이 균이 yulenge midang yuni mida mila mizebigi dindigi ta zug dindiji yores kola. Ta ima yana ya kola kejuji kari yores zaman ko ke di yorwa. Nga di shibuji ta tumu mayimbe ta chi nyanja dobo mi chi da a jang su imba yana chi ko ke ke di ko yondo la chilo ke ta chi soja semten tu imba yana te ndala cha ni pe dusma le du gores. Dindigi ta chi yores. Ta ima yana 다 그 상기게 코드 랍도 중네 다주메 고반 토바레스 코세딜라 다주메 고반 토바레스 다 이마이나야 미테 저게 고 소냠라 두두올라 당아마 상기 자주도 강가 뇽 칼라주도 소냠만 두고 와 소냠만 두디 고 소냠만 두디 미 강가 트레드네 소냠기니 테냐라고 말스 다 코나라 마라바다 아장장 코나 냠도 유행게 다 로바 강가 라큐니 칼라라고 말스 가지고 Then meet the Katan, that's Angela Katan page. Tape can go to my peg, come and say, meet the Niji up to June, Karchevers. The Niji Tabazinis, and a bit Tambuko and a bit Harzorta, read to many Yawa finishing minutes, read to many Yawa Machabachin, Ganga, read to Tumbo in Mabu in the Amido, Ganga, bed up to Tavaji Shagidus. Taya me, she Kalorta. Mi yanyan da zangan finishing minus ganga di rab to jung shaki duzim. Tende kita chi thana sangi lakha tani shebuji mangbu jung bares. Te chi te paro jini ta yelon nyamba zanlan zayndi sonya la manda nang la bene zana kampi nang lo ja chilo li kuni manda je. Ani ko lungzay de yelon jemba nyandu kur. Ani sonyam lo ne yon ke yon ne Korala Kaladin, Kamenala Demdo, Chilo Ginutonju Maris. Tai Imbayinaya, that Samsama Sanji Judula, that Chin Dokore that is Koki doing Colon Dokor Judula Tape. Cochilola Madana Kamenalo than Dokor Jordan, Kogi need Gay de Gitapet. Chi Ying Tomba Negor Ganga Pet Nyenda Chonepet, Ninga Yungoris. What that the Shina Naloni, that Soja Semjan Tizukanga Tata Zidan, Lanjana Zabat, Tizu Imbayana Kunim, Kundadayon, Dadaleoni, Nyantachone, Tuzman Duyung was Nigola. Techi Ta Gelon Tizugene, Sanjela Kadiju Barejeva. The Kares, that Diniji. Ah, Korang Embalani, that Dinigi. Long and Bajita, code Yam Sonya Madonna, Sonyam Kiniragum, Mazola, Kalaratu. The cook Dinian Jadala, cook Dinian Tachenepe, Mikanga dus Macordon, Chinduong dus, the Carres, Zidonata, Sanjigita, the Lugu de Lendi Namjas and the Lays and the country, but the thing more the Sumbares.
So it is, the first point, certainty. It is certain that from positive action, comes happiness, goodness. From negative action comes, problem, suffering, and that is certain. The reason here, related to the reason, Geshe would like to kind of share a story that was happened during Buddha's lifetime. Obviously, thousands years earlier. There was a fully ordained monk named, Tibetan name was Nyamba Sangden. Literal translation would be with, great voice or pleasant voice. He has a great, pleasant voice. So he was one of the Buddha's follower, fully ordained monk, and his physical appearance was kind of extremely ugly and disgusting, and one of the Lama Samdhurambuche used to use this kind of metaphor for this Nyamba Sangden, that if you see him before meal, you don't want to eat, you lose all your appetite, and if you see him after having meal, then everything will throw up. So that's kind of the level of his kind of physical appearance. And you know, we have saying that, you know, kind of the 18 signs of like ugliness in human form. So basically he was the, you know, most kind of ugliest, extremely kind of, you know, and from every kind of perspective of average human, you know, perspective, most kind of, you know, ugly. And however, what he has, the unique qualities, he has an extremely pleasant voice, you know, and whenever he kind of you know, for his voice, whenever he kind of, you know, chants or, you know, utter, not only kind of it brings human to listen to him, but also wild animals, they kind of pause to listen to him. And so, you know, he became, you know, fully ordained monks, and later he was considered as a, you know, he attained Arhat, for destroyer. And so, according to the tradition, you know, of Buddhist ordained monk, lunchtime they need to go out with their begging bowl, you know, to beg and kind of beg for food, and him and his, you know, kind of company never gets food because people always run away. They don't want to be near him. So, and even people kind of criticize Buddha, saying that, you know, Buddha is letting everybody become, you know, his follower, regardless of their caste, regardless of their physical appearance. And they kind of criticize Buddha that, you know, and so because of, you know, problem to Nyamba Sangye and his fellow monks, they decided to keep him inside the home during, you know, lunchtime. So his begging bowl was sent with another monk, you know. So with that, they, you know, kind of collect food for him. And often kind of, you know, the monks need to recite sutra. And when it comes to Nyamba Sangye's turn, you know, when he recites sutra, then, you know, people around him, neighboring, you know, they come together to listen to his kind of, you know, voice, beautiful voice, pleasant voice. And even, you know, wild animals, they would kind of, you know, stop by and kind of, you know, sort of, you know, seek pleasure in listening him. So, so, you know, because of this kind of instant, Buddhist followers, monks kind of was really curious and asked Buddha, you know, why is this kind of case, you know, the monk who kind of people, you know, considered very disgusting, yet, you know, kind of able to attract people through his voice. You know, what was kind of sort of, you know, the cause of such. And then Buddha kind of, you know, told the story of, you know, karma, you know, related to this, and kind of explaining the nature, meaning of the karma.
Yugan is so desavena, Sajila Kandi Yugan Jura, and Yabu Sajal Zay, Yuldegita, Jabujiri. And Yabu Sajal Zay, Tako Korangi, Kolandak, the chickens, Okazo, Tachi, Jing Kodong Korangi, Mayola, and the Kantar, Tindigita, Sodiji, etc. So did the Taco Mabas, Chodi the Katijala, Chomela, and Martin and Dodi Dula. Nyamba Zandan said, don't them Lamgan Gabdu Yamdo, Lamgan Gabdu Yaneta, Date Kudu on that Kuni, Jabu Sajagi Ma, Mazebe, Pegi, Tadan Lam, Tiduina, Tachi, Ma Yaga to the Tadan Lambo is a journey to go there. Tadan Lambo is a Kinian, Dorojigo Maris, that Dadela Yenta Kuta Chenim, Dedin. Yakin Doro Machidon, then Yabasayal. Ma yon sanji de la chani ta di ghar is dini chi ane sanji la kadi ju de la ane sanji ki ta ko lendi ki namja se de le za de kandi ji yimin ze ora ta kauntar nyamba zan len zen de kandi re ze ba ina ngama ta ti san chi lo lo tonda ma be kon la sanji ji ki kapsu ane Sanji is in Selji, is a Rajindajilla. Jinda Chubujilla, Sanji is in Selji de la, Rinsel de la, that Jordan Chambushuji, Yangi in the Jindatake. Yang Tidolo, Koran, never Zalan Zende, Koran did Jinda de Yobogan Nalo Cornala, Yobogan Nalola Yodevich, Yobonalo Yobachi. That Jordan Chambu Shubuji Jangin to the Taku, Lega Shimachi or Legacy Sado or Elasabeth. That tell a bear, ye Tangchedan, Tangchen. Then Dindi Chambujan, Karichi or that, Jordan Chunji Jan the hero, Tapsa Jijan and the heroes, Kadina ko, Chi Sada does order, or the really petilla divers. That is not the Karichi or Jordan Dindi Chambuji Jani, Chunji, Tapsa Jijan and the hero wasn't it. That Mazuna color, that she Momotan's gora. What they do to Tang days are. They tangi Taku Legani Majeranche, Chigu Yoro. That Tamba in a cook as a down a pengo, Kanji, Jugudilla, Shorten Hajang Itachi, Chembo, Udabo, Yabu Shubujita, Trumdua. They Trumdula. Taco Chi, Koranlachi, and Jobadakin, Aka, Tang Dimas, Kona Samluna la Zavigi, that Chodan Chunji, Tabjaji, and Digis and Samlo, the young Tuguri Sambigi, Samlokona Yomaro, then they took the hand of San Chojini, Chojini touching Gobadakin, Tang it pen Norshas, Namat, they shava the pet, that she would Norshas, that give me doing a Karichigo, Tang Karichigos, that Korala, did you Jordan the Rinla Legachene, take it larger Giora, take it larger de la Kogi, Sergi and Tilbuji Doni, Jordan de Zella, Yatabares. Laja Khan Yobade, Chadang La Base, she circuit to Yabushuji Jan. Then Danibush, Tibutin Danibushuyo instead. Join incident. They Jordan is Latanin, Yoshaji Donla. That take a name resco. Koran done that Saint Lachin, though in Nembochi, Shuji Young Wade. Jordan the Jambe Catologo, Jordan Tapsaji Jana digited, Chunjunji Jana digited, they said, Momodansha, take it, Namin. That Daniel Bushebu Yadi, Jugudelan Gabakine, Gashagi to learn, Chi, Korangi like Ayapatella, Chi, Tibudun and Chi, Jordan de la Tadiola, oh, late Niga Kunyam to Sasha Pares, late Niga Nyam to Saji, late again, late Sosogeta, and Dibu Mida, Namin, Mida, Soso Nyongwadi, Tanda City, Nyongwadi, or the race, Legin, I mean, or Saji Dimote the school.
So the one that asked a question to Buddha about, that monk Nyambasangde was not the other monks, but at that time the king of the, the place. And the king, when he was sending his, army along with, at that time, the couriers, elephants, horses, to, battle, his group often kind of stopped where Nyambasangden was residing because of his extremely kind of, pleasant voice. And so King asked this question, and therefore Buddha kind of introduced, this sort of cause and effect, karmic, background of the Nyambasangden. And then Buddha kind of, introduced this, that the cause of this, particular monk, during, again, thousands of years back in another Buddhist lifetime, there was a very rich sponsor who wants to construct a Buddhist relic, and stupa of Buddhist relic, extremely kind of large and very kind of beautiful, and at that time, this the Nyambasangden monk was the slave of that sponsor, and himself being a servant and slave, and because if a sponsor decided to construct the huge, beautiful stupa for relic, then he has to work every day, and so he already sort of got tired from this kind of the plan, and then started complaining, why not build a small and something convenient, and but other than complaining, he doesn't really have a choice, and sponsor decided to kind of go ahead with the construction. And so he was carrying, stone and dirt, and every time he was kind of transporting, he was sort of cursing, why all this kind of big, has to be constructed. And once the construction was done, it was really kind of big and beautiful and kind of, graceful. And he was kind of astonished, sort of shocked that, seeing the result of this, stupa. And along with kind of astonishment, he felt extremely kind of regret of what, earlier he was complaining and cursing about. And so in order to kind of sort of, confession and purification from his part of cursing, whatever, sort of wages that he gathered from the construction, he spent all those and bought a beautiful golden, bell to hang and as an offering to that stupa. And that golden, golden ring has a very beautiful, pleasant sound. And so it was considered as a kind of, here we can see that, karmic action, two different types simultaneously kind of, accumulated and yielding the result. And so that pleasant sound of, the monk comes from offering of that pleasant, golden bell. On the other hand, his cursing resulted in extremely kind of ugly, physical body. And so through that kind of, story, Buddha introduced, the karma or cause and effect precepts to the king.
Authenticity ta lenge base ti lenge ba imbe yumten ti ta imba inza adini ti break station ro ina tin chadang ji samsamare de sidgala.
So you just
ne tin kang masare de ju tunda jemena la yang cheka chene ti was de sejam.
So we'll take a break here because that, this is just about the first part, the certainty of the, cause and effect. And probably, Khechok was saying, we won't be able to finish this topic in this class. So maybe we'll carry the part in the next class.
Thank you. So let's start. In the laying bazati, the tended of dear Chira, Dordiji. The laying up a lay pelche was lay pelche was to lay the Yuchunjunji and Dibutela Dibu Chipado Mebajin Jin to go rest. In my late 18 to Dibu 7 Chunjunji and Dibu Mabujin Jin to a Nubaya Najin Chi Yula. And then Nangi as a lay la in Baina, lay giddy carry in Baina. Chi Dibu Namin Chimbojiman Jiag Nubati Yor Esior. Pena Chajana Pena Tanangazuge date of Jingland data Baina, Deto Jigisan Duta San Tabdingolan, Deto Jimoto Taguamarin, Deto Jig Tabsaki Sadela, and Shiman Dibu Mindiola, Tatsa Yama Chigi Tendu, and Nuntalan Dedo Junaji Chitugua Mintugorova. Ote Najingi, Tanajin Pena Shindog Dibula Chajavena, Amdon Dabujina, Amgin do Toto Chigi, do Toto Chigi, Shindon Chiginala Yala Mambo La Am Yada Donda Mambo, Dibudilla, Dibu Am Yada Donda Mambuji, Min to go to a Nuba Yoba Najin, Nangi Le Layang, the Najingi Le Gevili Baina, Gevili Chunjun Chig Sabaina, then Dibutilla, Dibu Anepe, Chi Lo Mambola launcher to ya, sort of. Tanajingi Penaton Tanangazu Chajana, the Bill Gates tabula chaja Bill Gates ta zambulin na la ne be chuda sesho de ji da ko tende chuda chae gi zambulin na ta yanda minda gi chuda long no long la phamba me ba long che tu ya gi tuya de la ko gi yu chi sa gi yu de la chi ba chung chung chi ma shi yo ma de gi ndi ko long che pa de me ba de ni ji min tu go res o te gi de le 펠 채워져야돼 임비 김전대레스 콜레 중중지게는 디부 망부지 펠도 보여요 유중중지기 디부 망부지 펠도 보여 인자 콜레 펠 채워져 this is what is
So we'll consider done with the first point, certainty or definiteness of the karmic action. Secondly, karmic action increasing or multiplying nature. Example would be even if you have a tiny small karmic action, in the result it can multiply and become expansive and that sustain for a long period of time. An example would be planting one seed of rice. When you plant, the result when it kind of ripen, at least you will have 10 seedling on one kind of parts of the ripened rice. Likewise, same with the mango. If you plant, you use a seed with one piece of mango seed, and then later when it grows into full big tree, you have hundreds and hundreds of mangoes. So it shows the nature of the karmic action multiplying its or increasing its result or consequences. And the result expansive, something that can sustain for very long period of time, can use for many years. And also using usual example of Bill Gates, considered as one of the wealthiest person, but the seed that he used for his wealth or possession starts from something small, something kind of something little, and then later based on that small limited course, the result kind of multiplies and increases.
Tana jingi ta mazuwe maranzun dabo nanglo la mi chi da chi la pena mi ji la ta min do da yo rang tu chi ze do da chi na nya yo ba ne de la singe ze min da do tinde ge ta le ngem ba do ji sa wi ge mazu kun long da tinde ke ku ji yo chi sambarna ne te kulong ngemba chi ta tindi chi thoni te yago mare ta chi nawa yang zane mi do samba ki be ga la chi zemodan da ne tindi ge ta chi mi do tindi ta yo la tindi ta ba na tindi ge le na min chi ta chi kewa nga bya la tindi ge ani chi singi mi ji la ta ngara so so ge ta tobo yin de nye bo yo de nye chila zemodan nyam do ke kola singi ze do sta ba na nge mao ba ne kewa nga bya thamba la chi singi ge kewa lengo agi kewa nga bya la singi ge kewa lengo so so o tindi ge ta le chung chung ji ge ta na min de la o tindi ge ta na min chembu ji do ma nyungu yo sonza nyoai tindi yo res te ko le phel cho mi gum jan te res ta le ge wa ji je ba na le ge wa to ji ge ta ji karzo ta ji zambulin la wang yure so do pa na danda ngaran so ge ta Joe Biden la so be Donald Trump la so ba ta America mi saya mambu gi ta la wang yur chi tu ngi pambo so do ta ji te ne jing gi ta ji zambulin la wang yur to ge yo te zo ai chi ko le chung chung chi gi sa ge ko sa ge le chi gi ko namilatini junguores.
Increasing or multiplying of the karmic action from small seed to kind of in a big result can happen even in the text talks about even without kind of actual kind of in negative case without actual having a bad motivation, say in the form of kind of fun or just joyfully if you use kind of nickname, criticize others, your friend like dog or somebody having have a flat nose kind of line, you just without any bad motivation one can leads to experiencing 500 lifetime of that animal in the future life. And from the positive side, one can even from kind of small positive karmic action can lead to in our time, because she was using the example of presidential and president candidate Joe Biden, have a power sort of to over one nation, and then with that nation it's kind of power towards the other the global other nations. So those kind of karmic powerful action start from kind of beginning with a small tiny seed or tiny course.
Sonza degi ta le phel chewaze diga che ta le mache pa da mithe pas cheba chu mi zawazi ta khoni nyam do domne juba yina le chi masa ba yina degi dibu nam nami nyoa yo ma re so re ane le chi sa sa re jugu de la ko dibu manyo ba ko thab yo ma re dibu nyongi re so re e kare ze ba yina pena tandandi kare go ta ngondo yen na la ina kawaji legi number में बस हमें जब से दानी चाहिए तुंडर की इज़े चाहिए और legi number में बस हमें जब से दानी चाहिए तुंडर की इज़े पे ना जी आजू नाम्बी जुंगली शेबाई ना चांजू से बस सात ऑफ देखें तेरे इम्बा ये ना या लेते मम्मी बाई ना चांजू से बाई बाई ना तेरे डिबू न्योंग हो रहे से डिबू मनिया वाला थाबी हो मारे से और ताते तान्यम तो तांडा रुंजी यांग दियो रे पना धीरे तांडा दी करे सो तबे निजी जंगी मिना दोंदों जैसे बस तिंडुं ते जरा तो कोई गिरे पल चला तबे निजी जंगी मिना दोंदों जैसे दे मी ता कोरा सावेगे 다 7월 외출로 났던데겐 거기 로번데 7월 버지 요래 맞죠 세모타와던 다본다 버렸다 세모타와 루기 지어로 세모타와 루기던 다본다 버려 다 미나 동동전 되게 답변 미 가와 두절 미세기 누구 미 뭐 세네 다 바로 절lap에 지 롱바강가 미 강가 세사 세 아니 죄사 죄는 조선에 다고 미장 두고 말듯이네 다 미망부 세사네 근데 대변 니지 전전데 지 가로서 다 선바장부 전에도 로고 전부 전에도 다 되리지 여바임베 다 거기 삼로나라 가래 제바나 다 지에 미난 동동전 될라 하장이 다 니지 수좀 쉬우지 이 돈에 니지 군내라네 가래 제바나 다 거기 미지 제바나 미지기 세베 레데라 나민데라 다 냐와 임바 다 남비 중에 제바나 미지 제바나 대기 레기 나민데라 냐위 개와 랭겨 다가랑 갑둘라 시바다 시마다도 냐와 개와 랭겨라 근데 바도 유가 유에서도 요 말에 바도 유고 요 말에 냐위 개와 랭발라 어 딘디기 다 미지 세베레라 냐와 딘디지 개와 랭고나 다 미동다 마부 있으면 고 냐외나 라키와 가져다 가져 랭고 사리 다 냐외 동al 자베 간디지 요리 대도 건가 삼로단들 다배 하장 있다지 이 교네 다 미나 동동 제지 균이 냐와니 배 하반에 하반 마불라 균이 냐와니 탄사 누구면도 스타 동al 되니 진용도 아지다 대 균이 디기면도 다 원나 코 가르치고다 대 탑시 가르치고도 그것도 밑에 미세라 고답 가르치고도 자도나다 같이 녜게 코랑 지 랍자 야바다 지 롭수 때니 디니게 다 냐지다 때요머 그 섬로나래 아주 밑에라 다 이마이나 가르쳐 거라서나 콜라 카데 담아서나 녜게 코랑 그 미나 노동제데 세샤바이나 나 미지기 나 미지기래 미지 세비기 내민지 나 냐와 혀란 거래 나 혀와 냐위나 혀란 바이나 내가 게민도스 코랑 냐위나 혀란 바이나 단다고 마오바나 네 마스 코 마세바이나 그미 가져 세기리 다저기 고 레든지 사도데 테바산도데 델리 네고 세샤바이나 코 에네베 나 라니 냐와 혀와이나 게민도 코기 레든 냠바데 사기 마레 삼베 굴롱 데니지기 군닐라니 네 미나 동동 젠세데 세바임 미나 동동 젠 세바레데 세베 주라 네 미나 대변 니지 젠세 되게 네 할바 구기 할바 굴 사야기 다 아주 상기 제야들라 소남지 초다 이시기 초제네 할바 얘기 초조저 그래 소남지 초조저 그래 할바 얘기 소남지 초조번 조버 제발다 충중 내림바진도 사니 도고라 딱그 할바 굴라 사야기 소남지 초데 대지부기 조버해서 그래 그 군롱 되게 이마이나 그미 대변인지 세버래 미세벨리 사자버라 미세벨리 사도나 때 레기 나민 냐외나 마히발 타비오 마레스 냐외나 코 안에 대변인지 젠데 알바구 소남지 초조바다 네 냐외나라 다르기 판로 잠세고 그래 다 덴디지고 고 냐외 키발렘 마레스 콜레 니 냠도 사벤자 레 니게 디부텔 나민 민다 니 도스마 용구 여바데 다 직전 동지로와
The third point, of karmic karma, the third feature, as said earlier, karmic action that you didn't create doesn't produce result. And we'll do together, and karmic action that you created won't never get wasted, must experience the result. And so kind of, what the word says, karmic action, if you didn't create any karmic action, you don't have to experience the result, whatever that karmic action potentially would be. And on the other hand, whatever karmic action that you created, you must experience the result, inevitability of the result. There is no way around or get away from it. And so in the text, there's this saying that the nature or the aspect of the karmic action is beyond our kind of understanding or beyond imagination. Even the bodhisattva with compassionate nature has to experience, its respective result. So, in the example for this, you might have heard the example of bodhisattva, faithful leader, great compassionate bodhisattva who killed, literally would be black person, holding a spear, this person is kind of portrayed as the, very much like Angulimala, if you are familiar with that, person belonging to, other faith and have a different belief system. And so this person, holding a spear, black, was involved in the, basically activity of killing other humans. So he was, killing continuously, and wherever he sees human, he kills. And, so when encounter with this bodhisattva, with great compassion mind, so out of compassion, now, here kind of Buddhist perspective, compassionate bodhisattva encountering that person has generated extreme kind of, compassionate thought to that person of what he was doing. And so the reasoning here is that, that person, when he was killing human continuously, he is creating immense negative, karma. And just killing one human is considered as, the next rebirth, directly falling in the hell realm without going through an intermediate stage. So imagine killing hundreds and thousands of human beings, how long does he has to kind of, suffer of its consequences, so countless eons. And so when Bodhisattva was looking for this sort of solution of how to stop that person of kind of, this killing, through advice or instructions, there's no way that he's going to, listen or solve the problem. So the solution that Bodhisattva saw was creating his own karma of killing a person, basically killing that, person who is killing others. And with his killing of one human, he will be reborn in human and suffer consequences of killing one human being. But if he let the other person kill continuously, he has to suffer, for a long period of time. So therefore, with that kind of, logic, he killed that a black person holding a spear. And so in Buddhism, generally, we talk about, in order to attain Buddhahood, one must accumulate positive merits for 100 eons, of both wisdom and positive merits. And so in this particular case, Bodhisattva is considered as a completion of 9 eons of positive merits by killing that, one individual. But at the same time, he suffered in the hell realm. The period usually used was metaphorically bouncing of a ball, which is that quick. So he has to. So again, here we see kind of two karmic, causing and experiencing results simultaneously, of one person. So another story of karmic experience of.
Tana jingi ta pena gomulundu sobre gomulundu jagala jone ta lotu ya ju bare sigora kansara lotu ya ju e baina me baina ta satop de ni janju seba tindi jire nang ba yebe ngolan chi go ro imba ina ya gomulundu ta nyamdo Tuzu chi la che de kan yabu ta gombulundu chungsa-gi yulde yaga locho chade locho la yulde ge yabu chi yore yabu de ming gari na tanga tenma song tanda ta jiro imba inza gari sabana yabu de
yabu de je sang mo re
yabu de je sang bo de te ina mena
hindi to le hindi koran zu te king satwa na la do shiring sung sa de
te ina mena hakum dangi mi do kalsar tireta ta gombulundu ta yabu tingi pa sechi pa jigyan cha de re do tuzo chi la kebe gimzendu ina kar ina mi sheta kalsar koni sechi pa kyuni gombulundu kyuni mandong pa ina yabu ta kyuni shea yo ma res ro shea me do la ta yabu de bugu yo re bugu de ta ko yabu cha la pe gago re ina pa mandong na kola yabu de ragu ma yabu mara do la ene amagi ta pugula ngelap jene ta kyoran yabu chegu ina injimji tambu ngomulundu meba so gores ngomulundu meba so matna kyoran yabu che thoya yo mares kare jana ngomulundu ta kyoran pa ni de ene seje ba ji ya res ngomulundu meba ma chana kyoran yabu ngini meba chagi mare ni kyoran yabu raya yo mares mezi de yabu raya yo mares imba ina ngomulundu janju se bare ni kyoran kari labe na nyangi res ene ngomulundu bi kyoran ngoti chene tero jizne yugo res kyoran so ne ene ngomulundu ko janju se bare ni te shagi res ngomulundu ngo chena ngomolu don't do any, Jabushi do it, Kira bought a shit to it, to Amati in a love Jabimari. The love jet in a put this on in Gomolu Sasonene, to Sujuvet, Kiran Goding at Terro Jason. At Terro Jesuita, Gomolu degrees in degrees it on that. Ta kogi pet Tidan, Tadila, that Sanja Courage better than by Yanakuni, and Dichigomar, Kuni Zugomar, Yegala di teach Sanja Kuni Zugomar, that Karim is a Courage and a Kuni Zugomar. Ta Mazu Dugalata ko Kalekani, Ta Karichegon is something, and Gomolu Tati Maris Kara, and Sanya Machunju Kesho, Sanya Machunju can make it Kidala Duzman Darda, and degrees it. Swing this on the they call Yabu the song. The Sanya Tamuji, Sanya Tamuji Keone, they Gumulu to Hegala to Zadiola, go chase on the essay. That they got residola, Tiberin, Tiduala, Gumulu, T and then Namangamachi Nega and Karingo. Kiwang among Abape, Tendijila, Nichi, and Sanya Chicken and Buchi Seben and Nebading at Tandala de use. Shaman Nebadi Tamasari, Nebading Matabachin de taking them in the Tandanyong Gores. Gomulu get some by O do Sinita, Chanju Sabat in the Imbina, Lady Sava in a could take in Dibu, my mean Balakuni, submedding in Dibu Mingo Ade, Yen Denijilata, Kabdugita. Jabu Pugute Gita Yabuchia in the Bazagora, and the Yen Dinichilla Tunita Konami the Yong Yoimari. Young among Amajilata, Gumulu Rani Ganichi, Semjenji, Sanya Dinichi 7 Nami Dibudet and that Sidila Gumulu Kondangita, Udeta Sanya Jigi Tuni Chendoya. Sonjal Tidan Chin. Dungla sabat Karibeta and Kikala Mazuga, that's Sanya Jigi Chevares, Dindita, Lugitiores.
Another story of karma, cause and effect. This was related with Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna was considered of staying for 600 years, but in India, South India, regardless of his lifespan, he was considered as a highly realized, master. And but at that time, during his time, his lifespan and the king of the region is considered as having a same lifespan, same lifespan. So the situation is that since they both have the same lifespan, without dying one, the other one doesn't die. And the king's prince was sort of, his mother's bad advice told him that, if your father doesn't pass away, you won't be able to become a king. Therefore, to make your father pass away, Nagarjuna has to pass away. And so therefore you go to Nagarjuna and basically, he's a bodhisattva, and ask for his head. And since he's a bodhisattva, he will give you. And therefore, Nagarjuna will pass away and your father will pass away and you will become a king. So then Prince went to Nagarjuna and, asked his head, basically, to sort of die himself. And Nagarjuna accepted, and Prince used all kinds of, weapons to cut off his head. But the weapon doesn't kind of works, and he asked, oh, why was that? And then Nagarjuna told him that cut off my head with a piece of, grass blade. And he brought a grass blade and cut off Nagarjuna's head, and then Nagarjuna passed away. So, when asked, so why was this? And, the sort of the answer here was that Nagarjuna has sort of one tiny leftover, the karmic seed. In the past, he had killed, cut off the head of tiny bugs on the brass plate, and he has remained that karmic seed yet to yield. And therefore, he must experience the result, and the result that he has to experience in that lifetime. And so the point here is that earlier, even the bodhisattvas, they must experience their karmic result depending on the factors or condition. So in Nagarjuna's lifetime, the prince wanting to become a king, and that desire becomes a kind of condition for Nagarjuna to ripen his result of that small karmic negative karma that was in him. And so we find this kind of story related with karma.
어디기다 가르생고래 저번에 단다 중도주게 다 레마제바다 밑에바 제바 추미자와제 레지 사바이나 된디부 레 개와지나 디부 레와녀하다 레 미개와지 사바이나 디부 동안 연구여바데 텔라 에너지 파조 유르샤야다 지 개윈 디부라 동안녀하다 동안지 디부라 지 레와녀하라 소바 제보자라 소바 어네오나 아지 네게 지가 미게 빌리지 사바는데 가자 현지라 지 동알데 가자 현지라 보도야 되고 딘디 파츠 찍지라 딘디 제야 매바디 땡겨래 가자 소소소소기다 레 가리 사바이나데 매바져야 될라다 도르두나 페나 디지레다 냠벽원이 좀 봐야지 연구요래 가르 사바이나 개비 레진 다보지만나 개비 레 충충지 가도 단다 사고여바나 야 유구드네 레지사네 데 유구드네 콘도 충충부지 망고 버치네 단다 가라조 유구들라 ngoa 제고에 김전대리 찍들라 두고 단다 디돌라 유구주는 자발 바오다 장주 선조다 가리라벨로서 버티서 ngoa 제고데 나라조 개비 자바지 예사지사 개비 레지 사고여바나 티사 사샤바디 님벽이 미좀비체도 팬도테데스 단다 개비 레지 덴데기 ngoa 마제바체네 고 개비 레들라 단 디부 대화 녀이지요로 테 녀 마사르 공라 다 콘도 슈침부지 랑바이나 콘도 되게 나르사체베 개비 레디 좀 두고 테 매바서 두고 테좀 샤고 치 아니 미게 빌리지 사바네 미게 빌레들라 냠부 토비지 소소 다 유구들라 겨자 징겨바 슈침부지 케네들라 냠부 토비지 사돔 제샤베나 마르사베 미게 빌레데 매바서 두고 좀 두고 데밍기 다 레지 사바이나 테 디부데라 고랑 게베 레기 디불라다 레와 뇨야다 미게 빌레기 디불라 동알 뇽구바데 에 가든 네바레스
So what these stories entail was, the point of karma that we said earlier. Karmic action that you didn't create, you don't have to, experience the result. The karmic action that you created must experience the result, regardless of time or period. And therefore, there is no such thing as, you create positive karma and somebody experience the result, or likewise you create negative karma and somebody experience. So there's no such thing as exchanging of karmic result. There's no such case of transferring of karmic result. Whoever created karma must experience the result. And other than the cases where the reason why we do dedication prayers, if you create, say, small virtuous karma, positive karma, and without doing a dedication, in between that, if you have a very strong hatred or anger, destructive emotion, that would kind of destroy that virtuous karma that you created. And therefore, for that reason, whatever positive karma that we created at the end, we always do dedication practice, such as reciting, the prayer of bodhicitta and others at the end. And likewise with the negative karma, if you create a negative karma, and if you can do purification confession through 4 powerful antidotes practices. With that you can sort of purify the karmic action. Otherwise, cases other than this, one must experience, the result.
Imba Sonza da dini tanda tiwa ki tsamde jasha kacha. Tiwa tilende che. Tete da nyamdo chi le sona tiwa dan kyusi tiwa da nyamdo ngi lama de che jabo se.
So with that, as you said, we will continue with the questions if you have, and along with your questions, you would respond. So whatever that the remaining he has to say on the topic.
Yeah, if I say something or do something to somebody and it hurts them, and then later I think about, oh, I hurt their feelings, and I feel so sad about it, and I feel their pain, and then I pray and ask, all this pain, could they be blessed 100 times with this energy, same energy, but can it be transformed into blessings for them? Do I still have the karma of, or am I quote unquote neutralized or forgiven, something like that?
Chimbajila new do gero, and she will new geo the cubato gets in any the cubati any colota, new kids at the line, pento young melam do gap, the chesna. Any clear side with the Nibon was how to elude. Nibon.
Tatanda dires, le mebarzo etela, pena ngazuke Sanjan Jinjila, Sewa Chebaina, Sewa Chebaina, ta Sevin Dibutela, Tari Sewa Chebe Lady or Sewa Chebe Lady Dibutela, Kudungal Dibu Namin Dibutela, Dibudungal res. Imbayinaya, Dibudungal Manu, Parola, Tangi, Nyambut of Jesus, Shadom Cheban, Kumebazoji, Tablamji, the Karel Zavana, Kunyambi Chometeris. Nyambi Chometizana, Kazing Azuki, Swaji Chebanet, Swaji Vijuta Langato Lanchi, and Gaba Tapuji, and it's about the North and Mindusani, Gaba Tapuji, and Tela Nyambut of Jitaji, Sangu Yores. Nyambut of Jitami Tonitako, Shadom Cheba Yevana. Tindigi Cheviki late, Mebazu to Meba Chagis. Ko Chizun Dibunam Dibudungal Nua Yomaris. That's object Karezavina, and Yaput object the dollar, and Gobashu Jumut Hiade Nora de Sosuke and Azuki Nora Shinit. Pajola Sewachi, but it's Sewachi about the Norva thing as Norva Hagonira, then Gobakia the rest. Chick and a Conjo Pangbojan. Conjo into that Sosuke Tamja chat, Shinjan and its own unity, Tidan Diri, Tindigi Severity, Sewa Norwa imba, me, Miro imba, Hagoni, Chinjan its own in Michi, Chi means some so some lugitone, Tamja chat, the Tamja chat in Nides, and then Conjo in Dundu, Conjo Dunduzana, Conjo Pangbojan is right. Ta Conjo Pangboja Sumbates. Ta Jibadi Teda Nyamduta, Matsuki Desha la Sobegeta, she Deji or te Nyempet of the days. Tendigi Jit Tsai Tonita, Tichebaina, Margit Sawachi lady do numbing Yungumar and Yontum, Marako lady Meba chat words, Meba so two words.
When we say kind of, elimination of the karmic action that you created, for example, karmic action of hurting others or harming others, because of that action, the result that one must experience is, the suffering of that act. However, we said earlier, purification through practice of antidote. And when we say antidote, 4 powerful antidotes. With those practice of antidote, one can purify or eliminate that negative karmic action that created before. And when we look at these four, the one part is, as you said, it must have a strong sense of regret of knowing mistake as a mistake, that I have done something kind of false. And secondly, sort of commitment or resolution of not repeating the same action again. And then thirdly, using object of refuge as a witness of your such action. And then fourthly, along with those, whatever recitations, practice that you do. So these four are called, four powerful antidotes, and whatever purification practice that you do with these four is considered as an elimination of the karmic action that you created before.
다양 디 레지 제반에 때 유지디 장구요 말 레라 지디 구요 말 그래서나 아 갑도들라고 컨트롤러서 봐 되자잖아 때 무슨 버더라 때 되게 컨트롤 좀 보지 라 봐이나 컨트롤 때 다가는 게 나르 사셔베 레디 지 매버 조투고 좀 두고 그 갑도들라 컨트롤 해야 쉬워지 니 칼로 니바 첨버잖아 미도 게자라 그 컨트롤 충중지기 답에 가지고 제 게자 라보지 첨부지 되는지 매버서 두고 그랬어.
However, it's, those are not required for, say, the elimination or destruction of the positive or virtuous activity that you created. And for virtuous activity karma that you created can be destroyed easily by, any hatred, attachment, or anger, directly or immediately. And even a tiny kind of anger or hatred can, destroy huge virtuous karma.
전주 나라가래 전주 나라 지지요 단다 컨트님이 쉐베가 돌더라 네 할바 야르사베 전주 사바지기 할바 야라사샤베 디파데 버게자데 네 컨트 깨지지 컨트게 아니 할바 야르사베 게베자와데 좀도 그래제 전주기 지지요래 우마주베 날라 지지요래 우마주베 날라 탄다 가지든데 야세진달랑 갈땡에서 개발자바니 내선 개발 단신 가바니 냐원 너버 교주 투비 송즈네 가지든데 야세진달라 전주서가 사마도근 지게 양 전주서가 지라네 베지 내선 까지지 개발이나 되게 저 할바 예게네 베 게자린 좀 두게 되잖니 어떤 집어지 양치대 전주는 잡아지요 할바 예게 좀 그래서 어떤 게 컨트롤에 대한 네 쇼좀 집어지듯이
The intensity of the say hatred or anger, the affliction and how they destroy positive karma. It's mentioned in both Shantideva's text, A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, as well as Chandrakriti's Entering the Middle Way Path. They talk about Bodhisattva who has accumulated or gathered 100 eons of positive karma or virtuous, roots of virtue can be destroyed by one moment of hatred or anger. So it shows the kind of power of hatred or anger and how destructive they are. Yeah.
So I have a question about what is a mechanism in which the result, especially the expansion of the result, arises? Is it the imprint that's made in the mind, or is there also the interdependence of phenomena and problems? When you gave the example of Bill Gates, I thought, well, yeah, that's his mind. It's all imprints in his mind. there had to be a lot of pieces that came together
Mhm.
to, for him to have that result. So that would, to me, speak of inner.
Le pecho la shiro. Le pecho la shi.
好，
Le pecho la zin le peche de chedan de kante chigo re lo do. De chedan de jige kante chigo re study chedan de da de semla ra le go re yamana namjunga zo tende gi kumje lo tende tu tu ra le go re peche shin da ge la peche de Bill Gates ya ra to khrangi de na lo da khalo re. 차시 망보지 수 덴제도 오시네. 덴준도 오신 라레오도 직다디 레충어디 페이지 보차야라 간데 차단 간데로 샤워를도.
本来我是七六个当个背景下的吧，七有件了背景下呢，七俺东俺跟这部剧杀了大把人呢，可杀了大把生意，等到几个我们了，你看这个都给先当处理了什么，这种没做些呢几个了，可其实俺东全部的差，俺东全部跟这部秘密对了来吧呢，俺跟这部这个个这部亚大个子呢，在有这部的亚大个子吧呢，对。 탐지기 뉴바데 고 안동지를 자위긴 루지를 했더니 중대 교들어 와서 어때 내진이 가지고 개වි레 임바이나래 미개위레 임바이나래 고 미개위레 지기다 아제 칼바 망볼라 냐와 내고 더보다 어다 개위레 지기 당게 단다 페이지 좀 디체임바
근데 뭐란 투어 근데 간데 샤고를 도단도 간데 스토어스 페드단데.
아
페드단 쇼로.
펠도다도 그제도 레지 사베나 때 니만이 니마 고도서 마 파는 두고라 말한서 주도감만 더네 거기 그 뉴바지어라 디부 미야기 뉴바지어라 레 코난 체로 차베 가자 말이지 레 코난 좀 니마 전부 차도 가자 말 거기 디부 미야기 뉴바데 고뭐 건벨도 두고라 루지 사 제가 사올라 다베는 고 줄이 다베는 니마 고 현 가 장바 민거라 때마다 레 그랑원에 지 코라마 지 니마 체로 차도하다 때 요마레 레 그디 사바이나 그 레데 뭐 마소나테 란자데 디부 멤비잖아 레 중중지기다 디부 첨부드니 민도 근데 여보마도 빌 게트 페이지 아바이나 빌 게트 근데 인자불이 나라다 마저게다 주다 차바레 저거라 그 주다 차바데 자위 그 리지라 베나 주보 리지라 빌 베나 빌게게 부 예배원도 집에는 주다 지게 보고 예면 그 아마니 예배는 저데다 지 밀렌만보다 딘디기다 나보다 줄차라 봐. 내 말에. 딘디기다 레 코랑기 때 가서 왔다. 되게 보고 예배데 코랑 때 레데 그 코랑기다 레 장보지 사이베 나민 tel라드니 그 주다드니 줄투고 와. When Chubuji Japan, Songli Japan, Songli Jenny, Korimbajindo, Koyarian Dusun Doji, Yota Yora. Tonga Yargin Doyer, they Nazukanga Chipa Chago, Nazukanga Michakaris, Songli Jinganga, Kolanda, Songli Jinganga, Kajima Chadu, but Bulan Lazadu, Kaji, Dindiji Tai, Yariyamacha, Mariamacha, Tanyam Jigalan to go. Kaji Nima Jingina, lodging in a location of Petma. Zamulin of Chindandur Mangin, Dini Chuda, you do it. The Sukangako lay Sosogita, leg in lay Southern Mida, the Nuba Mida, the younger is a motto.
Example that we used before, external example of like a mango tree, we use in the mango tree case, seed itself has a potential to produce, the immense amount of the results. And of course, along with that, when you plant the seed, it must have its, all conditions to put together, water, moisture, sunlight, everything has to go along with that. And then that seed, the reason, the mechanism or the reason is that the seed itself has a potential, to kind of in its nature to grow just like a time, kind of it grows in a time, and the growing in time, the capacity seed itself has that capacity to grow in time when you put all conditions together. So therefore, within that kind of growth, it produces, or that expansion of the result. And the the example of wealth, we use Bill Gates. The karmic, again, the power or capacity of the karma. Say if he has children, then those children would start with kind of already sort of wealth, but and that receiving inheritance from parents is a karmic result of that individual. So otherwise, simply kind of looking at the the effort and the ways of accumulations of wealth, all kind of people who are involved in the business, they do the same thing. They do their best to accumulate, increase, but the end result would be very different. Some goes into debt, some goes worse than what they were, some becomes extremely rich. So again, sort of the power of the karma of their own sort of plays and and comes into such result.
되게다 갈로다지 저랑이 되어라 렌다다지 레게메 등에 하고 서로 그 강사를 가서 다 남바지기 거니 그 레이즈야 되겠고 레이단 디비도 그 디부 컨디션 용도 지마지진 다 타진 타와잖아 때 가족의 주 체리베 주도 디 디 딜라타네 임주제네도 좀 하고야지 요 말이스 이마에는 단대가 가라서 내가블라 그 렌데자테 모터서나 텔 이치체네도 좀 지송진은 로야지레마도 렌데기 남자 지마지진 타진다 셰zen 덴디지 셰발랑아서 상마예버도 남가서 소소 라니 상마예버도 다지 렌 소소기다 레지 사바네 되긴디부 다 타진다 지마지진지 셰제데 요 말레스
So Geshe was saying he wasn't sure whether he gave sort of accurate answer to your question or not. The concept of cause and effect of karma at this point is something that we cannot explain through scientific kind of investigation in its subtleties and how sort of mechanism works. At this point, we base more or less on belief and trust, and we won't be able to understand its subtlety until one attains the state of enlightenment.
I ask one more question, or is it?
Sure.
Do we have enough time?
Sure, don't do that. Yeah.
결혼전에는 가 민디게 메시
He has a time set. If you.
Would Geshe discuss a little bit the extent to which motivation can mitigate the heaviness of a negative karmic action?
Mhm.
For example, the example he used earlier of the person killing the mass murderer to prevent that murderer from creating more negative karma himself. And just generally say a few things about motivation.
디고를 마음속으로 진짜 당연히 간다 빼셔로 전주스면 되게 다간다 전주스면 되게 근원되게 미 마음보 생애지 전주스면 지금 미드세로 그래서 다소 디날 제다 근원되게 되로 다 봐줘도 니 걸어오래 미개와 마음보 마사다 냐함을 then the Kurun de Polo Monsoon, which is a contest data.
Oh, tate ko le sa ya de la ji le ji tuba le ji ngo tuba de la ta cha thang wa ji tuba de la kare zana ji samba jo thadu zane ko ji thang gu tu gu ndo gu yo res te ji bu de ma sang bai na le cha thang ji singi thang wa ji ko le ta da ji tu tu go ma ro ta te re re ge ngo de she da a terin di me ba yin ma thar ba yin sang ge jima dun da de nan du ma she go dun du ma ya sha ba de za ge te le cha thang wa ji ta le singi thang wa ji to di bu ming ge ge ni ba chen ji cha ba la te ji yo res ji samba jo wa thadu zane 제가 대조강가 단단 대체 야외나 도전 구글이 기란도 되기도 năng 대체 야고
So in order to complete, say, one set of karmic action, and to make that karmic action, able to produce result, certainly into the future, that karmic action must have 4 components. Starts with the basis, then intention, and then performance of the action itself, and completion. So there are 4 components that is needed in order to become that karmic action potential or complete. And if you have a time, he said he can go forward. Otherwise, it would take much more time to explain and go through each of the points. Yeah. 모든 주는 대사를 쓴다. 디드골 송신 되기로 가서 뭐 지워도 상받아 되고.
대인바이나 다다 레지기 ngo들 레지 ngo사 사달라 페나 미지 세베 레지인바이나 담보 지제 지고래 삼바 조로와 타르도즈네 레지 ngo치마 진도발레 지요레스 대 지난기 담보들라 지제야 되래 지제야데 가레자나 가족이 페나 파조 세와 제사기 지지요로 당가도 레 미게오지 사고요 바네래 베잖아 레 미게오지 사고요 바 베잖네 레 미게오지 다 세와 제사기 지데 랑 레젠 바 마노바지 구요레스 파조버디 샘젠인 바지 세와 제베율라 신다 솔덴 마인 다 모부지요라 치기다 맞아 자신 나잘라서 봐 대절라 세와 제사야 같이 용거 말이스 다 세와 제자야 되고 이 파조버디 샘젠인바 마노바지 랑 대양 베지 랑 레젠인바지 하고고요레스 지 다 삼바 가리고 그러잖아 다 울롱 멤버지도는 당내 파조벌 세와 제고 있으면 배나 농대 지당거나 될라 농대 땅고 있으면 굴롱다 야마나 세고 삼바이나 파조버디 세고 삼베 굴롱지 당보해 되네 되게 레를 주고래 데 지게 이봐 또 지당 굴롱들라 다 유굴롱다 뒤유굴롱은 이용 거래서 다 토마 계약이 파조버들은 세와 제고 삼베 굴롱지로 데 유굴롱지고 다 되네 될라 좋았다면라 다 콜로 세와 제라 가리지고도 당 삼는 단계로 다 지 근데 소소다 막아서 지인바나 막아서들라 지 너지 제라 다 파조라 지 강한 증언다고 지 라고도 망한 여기도 얼마나 파조벌라 동대다는 지 너야 진두게 다 된디게 돌아 지 삼로들라 삼로 림바기 딱 림바 망보지 당는 되지로 될라 뒤지굴롱세 차고 이나 갑도기 때 뒤지굴롱 조대 가르쳐가잖아 쿠란 버기 너지 제베 갑도기 삼로들에서 파조벌라 너고 삼베 이게 뒤지굴롱 갑조대 때에서 다 지 삼바 조라제 돌라 다 야나 콜라 지 선자 라잠 베제 당국인데 야마나 나나저 강바 라바 베제 당국인데 야마나 다 딘디기 티기고니다 파조벌은 세월 제바데스 파조벌은 너버 제바데 고 모부 가리지나 잘라 가리지만데 티기 파조벌은 너버 제야데 조아데스 다 타두즈디 파조버들 네네 파조버들 세와 중소나 당 아주 삼라 단디송 당인도 박항송 섬지 파조벌 세와 제사들 세와지 투송 섬비 이게 가졸라 도낭제나민도 딘디기 지 삼로지 연구여로 희고로 어때 지가 창소나 아니 레지게 뭐 차상지 뚝뚝 거래서 답에나 미세베 레다 보시 라로아 다 가져보다 소소다 망가 사지 임바이나 미지 세베이나 담보 미데 랑레 제 임바지 대 지레스 미 임바 대양 랑레 제 임바 다 베나 가서 아 삼바탕다 매바이 임바이나 안단도 야메나 아 노르네 소소게 세고사데 마세바지네 세고사 미지 임바이나 세고사 미데 마세바지네 둔두지 라 노르네 춘슈여서 딘데 요로 딘데 임바이나 레데 차상지 뚝뚝고 마 임바자 바조베디 미 임바 드지고 지 아니 삼바 아니 당게 내진기다 세고사 몇 꿀롱 켜바니 존데 삼바디 다 조와 지당다 천라소베 가린 님바이나 되게 바조벌라 뉴야데 조아지 다 님바 잠진 디고 말에 바조버디 세베사베 다 세고 삼베 미 세베 레지 사바이나 바조버디 소왕 가버 가고요로 소왕 망가바는 고 천진 님바이나 천님바 정이 소왕 가두고 말아 양 레차장지 두고 말이스 바조데 소왕 가니 다고 바조버디 시송 리송 삼베다 전도 소속의 지 전다다 마소나 전다 두송 삼베다 셈라 가나다 도나데지 덴디지 레바이나다 레데 뭐 차상지 다 미세벨레기 뭐 차상지 뚝뚝고 그래서
If you go through these four, all four karmic action components, say harming others, for the basis, starting with the basis, it has to be somebody other than yourself, clearly identified somebody else, somebody else meaning a living being. This doesn't apply to like plants and like inanimate object. And second, the intention, you should have a motivation of harming that individual, what the killing or and the intention can be further divided into the intention during a course and the intention during an actual action. The intention, causal intention would be the initial intention of I'm going to kill that person or harm that person, and later when you are actually engaged in the actual action, during that time, you can have another stages of thought, how I'm going to kill. And you have and those thought is a second level of, and that is the primary intention that was, needed. And then third, performance reaction. Here, it can be done through, in harming you, whether you're using weapons or your own kind of, hands, leg, and to make sure that that person that you are going to harm gets inflicted, And then finally, you should have a sense of satisfaction that I have done this. So in order to complete one karmic action, completely, these four must be, consisted. So if you use the example, the act of killing, of another person, first you should have a, clearly identifiable person that you're going to kill. And because here, in the process, if, perpetrator is somehow have mental disorder or mistakenly killed, then that karmic doesn't become a complete. Your basis that you have, sort of targeted was kind of, misconstrued or mistaken. And so it doesn't make a karmic action complete. Second, intention in the act of killing, you must have an act of killing of that person. And then the third, performance, whether you're using a weapon, knife, and using that weapon, you need to make sure that that person ceased, the lifespan, or, basically the person is dead. And then at the end, sense of satisfaction that I have completely, killed that person. So when all of these four are completed, then it is considered that the act of killing one person karmically has, completed. And otherwise, you could have been missing any part, and therefore karmic action doesn't become complete. And therefore it affects the result.
어떤데게 레들라다 레 차상지 이중고 차상지 두대게 제사 참에 레지 세월에 제바당 사바 레 차상지 제사 참에 레지 아다네진 제사 마참에 레지니 요래 다네진 편제의 조제 니가 참에 레지 요래 편제의 조제 편제게 베나 tanda di sabude migi le chire te le de naminda nyawe ke walen baina ko penche dan soje ni ga migi le di mo cha pare ana jin ge le sabule penche dan soje ni ga chang de gan dan tindi gi le gi namda da mangbu ji yo res ko je la ma sa ba dan sa la ma je ba dan ane je sa chang le se ge tanda di le sabude la je sa chang le se ge 제라 마사바다 살라 마제바스 덴데기레요 레지 레카시 제는 레 제바이나 제라 마사바제 레요레 베나 차자바이나 아주 가르도 그렇던데 말아도 제모다다니 두스마 로발라 두스마 쉐지요라 가제 두스마 제 라바게 탈자 쉐야도도 바다 덴데도 야 맨날 라베나라 유바다보다 싸다보다 싸냐든 여번에 된데 그나 디제데 누이나라 싸냐지기 데버민 유견에서 임바요 진나 싸냐 너베디 진치를 라데 다 간다 슈에도 코랑데 그나 싸냐마지기도 다 굴롱 냠바다 된데 케구지 매바지니 나메 자나미도 나조게 나와야 진이 소속이다 가보니고 여사기 미들라 짜냐마지기 두스마 슈바이나 짜냐마되게 가져 슈사들라 지 나자다야다 내야 되니 개구지 요 말했어 요 말에데 임바이나 슈야 고랑데 자위기 너고 세위기 리지레 데레스 너 비리지레 데 임바이자 되게 미기빌리 사기레스 찍데 다 내진 게 빼나 가서 가실라양 가서 뒤로 다나 빼나 맹간란도에나 가서 나자 슈좀 나자 지여바이나 맹간라서나 멤버기 가서라 갑주고로 와 갑주에 되게 갑들랑 지금 가서 줘볼라 지금 나자 다니에서도 지 갑주에 가도들라 나자 다니에서도 지여바래데 자위 때 너비치도 주바만 가서 아주 나자데 매버져야 지도 아주라 팬비치도 주고라 어떤데 그 레기 고 남다 미다 있었다 고고 라야 어떤데 게다 팬제다 조제서 보다 제사 상와서도 보다 제라 마사바나 살라 마제발라 소비 딘데기 다 레기 지금 여미다 멍부시부지 연구하래서
again, in terms of just how karmic action are accumulated, there are many kind of ways and forms of karmic action being created, such as karmic action executed but not accumulated. But then there's karmic action which you accumulated but not executed, and some which are both. And then there's a throwing karmic action, projecting karma but not completed. But it's completion, but not, projecting karma, and many different ways of creating karma, and karmic action, which for example, it comes in the Vinaya text, the discipline of the monks, without any intention, act of harming. If you use, say, just a piece of grass and hit somebody, just kind of in a playful way, that hitting itself won't cause any harm, but the act itself is the harmful. So it is considered as a karmic, accumulation, although there is no kind of, intention of creating it. And likewise, when you go to hospital for treatment, say, a vaccination, when you get a vaccination, immediately it hurts. But the ultimate objective is to, to heal and to remedy, and there's no intention of giving pain. So whole another way of, how karmic action is created or not created. So there are many different ways of, how karmic actions are created.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. I mean, if for detail, you can look into, Lamrim Stages of Path. I think it's in the first book. And then there's a very detailed on cause and effect in this book that we have studied before, Jewel Ornament. It's a very detailed of karma.
The Changju Samjo, the last and then it's right.
No, so a couple of mentioned it. Also, Tongi Dasha.
Kari Rave Goven Shingan Tu Pentan Dewa Alun Jumve Chere Dewa Tenzin Ya Shabe Side Bardo Tengyuro Chi Jamba Bave Chidara Jamba Dan Kundu
Sambo, there and this.
Ejende Deda Kunji Jesu Dalo Jin Gyawa Dida Tam Rabdu Ngon Tuzuma Shabe Gyawa Tamje Ge Ngon Kanda Choto Ngap Tajin Gebe Tawa Degu Gyan Sambo Chuchi Ngowara Yi Chanjo Senjo Rimboche Maye Banama Kinjuruchi Nyamba Mebra Yang One Kon Hawara Sho Tony Tawa Rimboche Maye Banama Kinjur Yawa Nyamba Mebra Yang One Kon Hawara Sho.
In the land encircled by snow mountains, the source of all happiness is in benefit. Those who trust in generously Tenzin God remain under some silence. Just as the Bodhisattva usually attain all nations and surmount the larger to do, so I dedicate these myths to train and follow in their footsteps. As all the victorious Buddhas of the past, present, and future praise the dedication as supreme. So now I too dedicate these sources of my merit for all beings to correct good actions. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen and grow, and may that reaches not diminish but increases more and more. May the supreme jewel wheel of emptiness that has not arisen and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more.
Thank you.
Thank you.